Hello, welcome to the audiobook of my Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's fanfic Crimson Star Priestess. If you're enjoying this series, make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe to my channel to keep up with the updates. The link to the fanfic is in the description below. I do not own any Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D characters, I only own my OCs. Professor Frank was the right person to do Estelle, but I needed him to do more than just try hypnotizing her. That was why I called him to my private lounge before the third duel. "How may I be of service?" Professor Frank questioned with a smile when he entered the lounge. "We need to inform you of a few things about your opponent, Professor," Lazar chuckled. "Your job is to manipulate Estelle and make her talk. Try to get the truth out of her while you're dueling." "What truth do you seek?" Professor Frank questioned. "We need to find out who she really is," I told him. "Try to coax out some clues about her identity with your hypnotic power." "I shall see what I can do to make her talk," Professor Frank bowed. "But before you go and prepare yourself for the duel, we need to warn you about some of the cards in her deck," Lazar said quickly. The television screen in the lounge switched on and revealed a couple of cards I had found in Estelle's deck before she got taken to my mansion for the house arrest. The cards that caught my attention the most were those that were associated with her two blue-eyes white dragons. "Be careful with these monster cards, Professor. Their effects are, apparently, to summon the legendary blue-eyes white dragon," Lazar warned with an amused voice. "The blue-eyes white dragon? I believe that majestic monster belonged to Seto Kaiba, who left the planet without a warning?" Professor Frank questioned with a raised eyebrow, his smile still on his lips. "That's correct. But apparently she's not related to the Kaiba family," Lazar explained. "That is also another mystery we need to solve of how she was able to obtain two cards of the legendary dragon." "I shall do my best," Professor Frank nodded. I nodded lightly. "You may leave." The professor bowed before he turned around and left the lounge in silence. I stood up from the couch as Lazar switched off the television before we left to return to the ivory tower where Jack was waiting. "The professor is the perfect choice," Lazar commented. "Estelle seems to be a weak woman who could fall easily for the professor's hypnosis." "But remember the other monster cards in her deck, Lazar," I spoke up. "They are mainly dragons, and only strong people can control those beasts." "Well, it depends on how well she can play, besides that time when she dueled Mr. Atlas, Director," Lazar chuckled. "I wanted to see her duel with all her might with the cards she had in her deck. A deck could be like one's soul that you put your heart into it while building it." "Show me who you are, Estelle Malmström." I was waiting underneath the duel field on a platform for the duel that could start any minute now. My heart was pounding hard and my palms were getting sweaty by nervousness. I tried thinking of pleasant things to distract myself, like those video clips I watched in my dimension that was humorous. I snapped out of my thoughts when I heard the sound of an alarm, warning me the platform was going to elevate to the surface. I braced myself and bent my knees when the platform moved upwards as the ceiling opened, allowing sunlight and fresh air hit my face. I placed my right hand on my duel disc as I heard the MC introducing me to New Domino City and Japan, since this was a national tournament. "Now entering the arena, his opponent with a record of..." The MC turned silent for a few seconds. Well, it appears that we have no record for her, but we can say she's a... He seemed to whisper to someone before going on. Are you saying we have no information for her? Well, New Domino City, let's hear it for Miss Estelle Malmström. My eyes widened slightly when I recognized the introduction. This was the dub version he used for Aki in the anime. Did he use it for me now because I had no records? I looked up and saw the professor standing at the other side of the duel field. He had the same creepy smile and hidden evil eyes as in the anime, which made me shiver in disgust, but I didn't show it. The professor bowed deeply. Pleased to meet you, dear Estelle. The last part of the greeting and the voice he used made me almost want to throw up, but luckily nothing came from my stomach. Hello, I nodded just to be polite and not act rude in front of everyone. The professor straightened his back after the bowing. I'm sure this duel would be quite illuminating for the both of us, don't you think? Let us find out and see if your prediction will be true, I told him. Now, let's get dueling, the MC announced. Both the professor and I held up our left arms and activated our duel discs for the duel. This was it. It was time for me to see if I could make it to the second round and ignore the professor's hypnosis. Let's duel! The two of us shouted, initiating the duel. We drew the first 5 cards from our decks. I had Protector with Eyes of Blue, Master with Eyes of Blue, 1 for 1, Paladin of Fairground, and Bright Star Dragon. This was a kinda bad hand with no trap cards, but it could somehow go if I played the cards right. Like a star in the heaven, you may go first, the professor told me. Alright, I nodded. I draw. I drew my 6th card and saw it was Maiden with Eyes of Blue. I start my turn by summoning Protector with Eyes of Blue in attack mode. I slammed the monster card on the duel disc just as a gate opened on the duel field and revealed said duel monster. Protector with Eyes of Blue swung his sword around before standing in front of me as a shield. Protector with Eyes of Blue's effect. When he is successfully summoned, I can special summon another level 1 light Tuna monster from my hand. So come and join us. Maiden with Eyes of Blue. Maiden with Eyes of Blue flew out from a gate next to Protector with Eyes of Blue and spun around before she got down on her knees in defense mode while intertwining her hands. I end my turn, I called. Thank you, the professor nodded before drawing his 6th card. I'm summoning a unique monster known as Symmetry Rorschach. A new gate opened and released dark power that formed itself into a butterfly-like monster. It was the same monster from the anime when the professor dueled Luna, the one that started hypnotizing her. I shut my eyes and shook my head lightly, not making a huge move. This duel already smelled danger. Even when I looked at Symmetry Rorschach for a second, its movement already made me lose a bit of my concentration. Estelle, think of my Rorschach as if it were a puddle of rain or a drop of ink in a lake, the professor said, obviously trying to hypnotize me. Look at it and tell me what you see. Tell me if it reminds you of anything. Look into your fears, your dreams, even the truth. What do you see when you gaze into the abyss? A friend perhaps? Your family? Or a piece of you that was lost in your deepest memories? I snapped my eyes open when the professor mentioned family. It stung hard in my heart when I remembered my parents. Were they worried sick about me? Were they still looking for me? Did I give up hope after I had disappeared more than 2 months ago? I looked carefully at Symmetry Rorschach, trying not to get hypnotized by its mysterious power and movement. I don't see anything right now. Look close, the professor continued with his manipulating voice. I regretted my decision to sneak a peek at his monster. My focus had been caught by Symmetry Rorschach, and I could barely remember what I was doing. Don't, priestess! I blinked my eyes, snapping out of the trance when I heard that feminine voice. I turned to my two duel monsters and saw both of them were looking at me. They were still in the same position as when I had summoned them. Maiden? Protector? I mumbled in a whisper. Don't fall into this man's hypnosis, priestess, Maiden with eyes of blue spoke by telepathy, her mouth never moving. He's trying to make you talk and reveal the truth about your identity. Protector with eyes of blue stood straight in front of me, blocking my view from Symmetry Rorschach. Keep fighting against him. I shall become your shield and stop him. I smiled at the two tuna monsters, feeling revealed that I could communicate with other Doom monsters besides the Designer Dragons, Star Eater and the Crimson Dragon. Now that I was back to myself, I could concentrate on the duel. Are you going to stand there all day, or will you make your move, Professor? I called, never looking straight at this duel monster. The corner of the professor's mouth seemed to twitch for a second. As you wish. Symmetry Rorschach, remove the obstacle known as Protector with eyes of blue for me. Symmetry Rorschach released a dark shockwave that engulfed both me and Protector with eyes of blue. The spellcaster did his best to shield me, but he was shattered into pieces. Now that Protector with eyes of blue was gone, I had a full view of Symmetry Rorschach, but this time I was prepared. I kept my eyes on the professor and tried to have his monster outside of my viewpoint, making sure its movement couldn't grab my focus again. When Symmetry Rorschach dispatched of your spellcaster, its effect activates, the professor spoke up. Would you kindly turn over the top card of your deck and reveal it? I nodded and reached to the top of my deck. I grabbed the top card and flipped it, revealing the equip spell Dragon Shield. It's Dragon Shield, I told the professor. Thank you for identifying your spell card, the professor said calmly, but I could hear something different in his voice. It should be just as easy for you in the next few rounds to help me identify you, who you are, and what purpose you have here in New Domino City. I placed 2 cards face down. It's your turn. I reached for the top card of my deck and drew Dragon Shield. I could use it on Bright Star Dragon if I chose to summon it now, but I wanted to wait a little longer. I felt like I had a plan in my head that I was working on. I summoned Paladin of Felgrant in attack mode, I called. The warrior monster came out from a gate and stood in front of me as he held his sword in his hands, ready to assist and shield me from Symmetry Rorschach. Paladin of Felgrant's effect. When he is summoned, I can equip 1 level 7 or 8 dragon type monster from my hand or deck to him, so I think I'll equip him with Divine Dragon Lord Felgrant from my deck. My dual disc shuffled the deck until it stopped and 1 card stuck out of it. I took it and put it in the field/trap card zone, causing the golden dragon to appear on the field in a crouch. I heard how many gasped and awed at the sight of Divine Dragon Lord Felgrant. After all, he was a majestic dragon. The dragon glowed in a gentle golden light as it traveled to Paladin of Felgrant, surrounding him in a protective aura. As long as Paladin of Felgrant is equipped with a card, he is immune to other monsters' effects, I explained. That is perfect, the professor commented. I play one of my face downs, Light to the Depths. Like the Northern Star, this light illuminates the path inside of you. Now, send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Then, reveal the 6th card and add it to your hand, and you must play that card as certain as the path of light itself, or suffer 2000 points of damage. The light from the trap card almost hypnotized me, but I looked away in time as the star from the card blinked in front of my eyes. I reached for the top 5 cards of my deck and removed them. I showed the professor I was following the instructions and sent them to the graveyard. Those 5 cards were Silver's Cry, Shadow Spell, Divine Wrath, Swords of Revealing Light, and Dragon's Rage. They were all spell and trap cards and no single monster, but I lost some good cards that could have helped me later in the duel. I put my fingers at the top of my deck and drew the 6th card, praying it was a card I could play. My shoulders fell when I saw I got Burst Stream of Destruction. I couldn't play this card at all. This meant I was going to have to take 2000 points of damage. Now, show me. What's the card you're holding in your hand? The professor asked. I held up the card for him to see. Burst Stream of Destruction. I swore I saw an amused grin on the professor's constant smiling lips. Ah, you have come across a very bad path, my dear. It appears your northern star is not with you today. But do not worry, your path will be illuminated as soon as you reveal the truth of yourself. I put the spell card among the other cards in my hand before it was time for my next move. Paladin of Fairground, do me a favor and destroy that Symmetry Rorschach. With pleasure, Paladin of Fairground shouted. The warrior Doom monster dashed forward with his sword raised to the air. He didn't hesitate to slash the butterfly-like monster into pieces, causing damage to the professor. The professor didn't seem to be affected by the fact that he lost some life points, but then again, I would get a major hit as soon as my turn would end. I end my turn, I said. And since you were never able to use your Burst Stream of Destruction, you must follow the bad and painful path of darkness. The professor's eyes squinted slightly in amusement. Do not be afraid as the pain comes toward you. The after-image of Light of the Depths appeared on his side of the field and glowed for a second before a bright light emitted from it. It stung my eyes so much due to its brightness that I had to shut them as I felt the solid vision effects do its thing on my body. That was a major hit! Estelle has already lost more than half of her life points since she couldn't play the card she had to draw due to Light of the Depths. My turn, the professor chuckled as he drew a card from his deck. I summoned the Portrait's Secret to the field. And I'll be activating my face down, Gestalt Trap, the professor declared, flipping up said trap card. And this particular trap card will equip on your knight in shiny armor. An image of Gestalt Trap came out of the trap card and clung itself onto Paladin of Fairground, trapping his arms to his side as he struggled against it. Paladin! I shouted worriedly. Not only are your Paladin of Fairground's effects cancelled, but all his points, both attack and defense, go to 0, dear Estelle, the professor continued. Oh no, this wasn't good. I equip Immortal Homeostasis on Paladin of Fairground. The professor played said card, causing Paladin of Fairground to be surrounded by not just a golden aura, but also by a nasty purple color that mixed together with the light. Now he cannot be destroyed in battle, but sadly his fate is worse, for now he serves as the architect of your loss. His original attack points have been altered and, until they can finally be restored, you suffer 300 points around, much like the ill-tempered dog who bites your hand whether you bring food or water. Are you done yet with your monologue, or will you make a move? I questioned irritably, hating to see Paladin of Vagrant suffering by the spell and trap cards equipped on him. So impatient, the professor chuckled. The portrait secret? Attack Paladin of Vagrant. The picture frame flew toward Paladin of Vagrant as the monster inside it raised both its hands with long nails and slashed my warrior monster. Paladin of Vagrant cried out in pain as he remained on the field, but his armor had visible scratches after the attack. Of course, with Paladin of Vagrant still equipped with my little spell, he isn't destroyed but survives, the professor said. And next round, he will be destroyed and survive again. And again, if you can't fight back. But with your life points so low, and you will take damage during your standby phase, what hopes do you have to win? Isn't it best for you to give up while you still can and reveal to everyone who you are and what a weak woman you are, even though you are controlling monsters related to dragons? So, tell me now, who are you? In which part of the universe did you come from, only to settle down here in New Domino City? I looked at the cards in my hand and could almost see in front of me how a plan was coming along, a plan that could help me win, despite holding on with 400 life points. Who am I? I said before grinding lightly. I'm the woman who will give you a taste of your own medicine. We shall see about that, the professor chuckled. It's your turn, Estelle. I draw, I shouted as I drew Call of the Haunted. Remember, you lose 300 points due to the effect of immortal homeostasis, the professor reminded me. Perhaps this will make you talk. The equip spell card released a bright purple light that hit me like a whirlwind, causing my hair and clothes to ruffle in the air until the wind calmed down. Could this be it? With her life points down to 100 and the professor still having over 3000 life points, can Estelle make a comeback and turn this duel around? Or is it too late? Everything will be determined by her next move. It didn't look good for Estelle. She was already down to 100 life points because of the unfortunate luck of her drawing a card she couldn't use on her last turn. But her eyes told me she had something going on. She wasn't giving up without a fight. It looks to me Estelle will lose, Greiger commented as he sat on the couch across from me. Both her Paladin of Vagrant and Maiden with Eyes of Blue have no attack points and she doesn't even have a trap card. Even if she summons another monster and destroys the portrait's secret, the professor will just summon a new monster on his turn and use it to attack Paladin and win the duel. Or if it doesn't, his equipped spell card will drain her last life points. I wouldn't be so sure about that, I spoke up. What do you mean? Greiger questioned with a raised eyebrow. She's in a corner. She can't win. Maybe, but I know she can come out of it, I replied. When I dueled Estelle for the first time, I noticed she had good cards and combos, but she had a bit of the same problem as Leo. She depended too much on her combos and didn't adapt to her opponent. But something told me she was going to think outside of the box and surprise us all. Okay, it was time to finish the duel once and for all, and it was going to end with a show for not just the professor, but for everyone in Japan. I start my turn by playing the spell card 1 for 1, I declared. With this, I have to send one monster from my hand to special summon a level 1 monster from my hand or deck. I send Master with Eyes of Blue from my hand to summon the level 1 tuner monster Supai from my deck. The dual disc shuffled my deck until it was done and one card was pointing out of it. I grabbed the card and confirmed it was Supai before placing it on the duel disc. Supai came floating out from a gate and stayed next to Maiden with Eyes of Blue's right side. And next, I summoned Bright Star Dragon from my hand in attack mode. Bright Star Dragon flew out from a gate and roared into the air before getting down on his feet next to Paladin of Fairground's left side. Bright Star Dragon's effect: when he's no more summoned, I can choose one of the monsters on the field, but not himself, and decrease that monster's level by 2 until the end of this turn, and I choose to increase Supai's level from 1 to 3. Bright Star Dragon raised one of his hands and sent a light yellow beam at Supai, who accepted the dragon's power. Supai grew in size due to the increased level. The professor's eyes blinked before his smile was finally replaced by a frown. "What are you scheming? Why won't you give up?" "Because that's the kind of person I am," I confessed. "I won many battles in life, so I'm not giving up just yet." I put my right hand on my chest where my heart was beating. As long as the fire of a fighter burns within me, nothing can stop me. And my monsters will show you that now when I would make a double synchro summoning. All 4 of my duo monsters transformed into light before they flew up to the sky. I tuned level 1 Maiden with Eyes of Blue with level 4 Paladin of Fairground, as I tuned level 3 Supai with level 4 Bright Star Dragon. My Divine Dragon Lord Fairground and the Professor's Justard Trap and Immortal Homeostasis were destroyed and sent to the graveyard now that Paladin of Fairground left the field. A bright light surrounded the duel field as the wind blew around me, similar to when Aki synchro summoned Black Rose Dragon. I synchro summon Magical Android and Clearwing Synchro Dragon, I shouted as I raised my right arm up to the sky. "Join me, my comrades!" The light died down as Clearwing Synchro Dragon appeared on the field with a cry that shook the ground. She was just as tall as Red Dragon Archfiend. Magical Android sat on her left clawed hand, her sword and shield in her hands, before she jumped and floated down to the duel field. "Incredible! Estelle has made a major comeback with not just 1, but 2 synchro monsters in 1 turn." "I did not foresee this action," the professor confessed as he looked at the 2 synchro monsters with surprised eyes. "It's time to turn things even," I commented before looking at my psychic synchro monster. "Magical Android, put the portrait's secret back to the wall where it belongs." Magical Android floated toward the fiend monster and raised her sword while it was glowing in light green. With one swing, she slashed the portrait's secret into 2, causing it to shatter into pieces that hit the professor. He shielded himself with his dual disc as he took damage. "Clearwing Synchro Dragon, let's end the duel," I shouted. "Use Clearwind Tornado!" The Synchro Dragon flew until she was hovering above the professor. She released another hissing cry that was similar to Red Dragon Archfiend's cry before her wings glowed and released a powerful wind. The wind shaped itself into a tornado that engulfed the professor. The air was powerful and whistled in my ears as I watched the tornado spinning around where my opponent was standing. Clearwing Synchro Dragon roared again as the tornado died down, revealing the professor sitting on his knees. His face was pale and he had a look on his face that was full of disbelief. "She did it! Despite her life points being close to 0 and in an impossible situation, Estelle turned the duel around and won!" The audience cheered joyfully, applauded their hands, and some even chanted my name. I couldn't help but blush slightly in modest before I glanced at my synchro monsters. Magical Android had a smile on her lips, while Clearwing Synchro Dragon's muzzle was shaped into a smile with her teeth exposed. I returned their smiles before I turned around and waved to the audience. I spotted Tanner, Yanagi, and the children on the stands. Leo was jumping on his seat, punching his fist in the air as he seemed to chant my name. Dexter and Luna were calm, but they waved their hands at me. I gave the group a 2 fingers salute and a soft wink before I deactivated my duo disc, causing my synchro monsters to fade. I turned to the professor. He had recovered from the loss and got up on his feet. His face was still pale, but his creepy smile had returned. I shivered in disgust and didn't hesitate to leave the duo feed to get as far away from him as possible. But questions remained in my head. What did he actually try to do to me during the duel? Had he really tried to make me talk and reveal the truth that I came from another dimension in front of 1 million people? Did he do that under Goodwin's orders? If so, he had been very close to hypnotize me, but since I knew about the professor's actions, I managed to escape by a thin thread. I glanced up at the ivory tower and saw the figures of Goodwin and Lazar by the glass. It was hard to tell what kind of expressions they had, but I could swear I felt Goodwin's eyes on me. Too bad, Goodwin. You have to do more than that to make me talk, and even if you did, I wouldn't tell you a single thing.